Hi, I'm Gordon Burkell from Filmmaker U. At Filmmaker U, we create courses for film professionals to deepen and diversify your existing skill set. You can learn more at filmmakeru.com, or of course on Instagram at filmmaker_u. Every week we interview a film professional to discuss their work, and this week I'm joined by Abigail Scollay, VFX Supervisor for Season 6 of Black Mirror. Welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having me.
I guess my first question for you, because I've watched Black Mirror, and then I always have to take breaks whenever I'm watching it because it's very depressing to a certain degree.
Okay.
So when you guys are working on it, are you guys like removed from that sort of tone or sense that you get from Black Mirror and it's more about the creative process, or do you guys also sort of see
Yeah.
that?
Yeah, we're a little bit removed from it because it's all sort of about the planning and sort of getting across the themes. Yeah, I think the only one that sort of surprised me was Beyond the Sea, sort of the ending of that sort of really hit me
Mhm.
of all the scripts, yeah.
Well, so how did you get involved with season 6?
So, I came on board, Josie Henwood, the VFX producer, sort of was looking for a supervisor. She vetted several VFX supervisors and put them forward to the producers, and, I was the lucky one that got honored to be the VFX supervisor.
I think what attracted me to color correction was the fact that we were like the next stage of cinematography. And the creative side was huge, trying to understand what was wrong with an image, how to balance it, trying to understand how to let the tools do what you want them to do. Where else can the technology go? What else can we do? I'm very interested in trying to mold the image and create the best look possible. And whatever tools are out there, you want to try and latch onto them. I'm Eric Whipp, and this is my course on color correction.
When you get on to a project like Black Mirror, what were, the expectations that were laid out for the project and sort of the visual references that were sort of given to you to prepare?
Yeah, so, it's a lot of planning from the get-go. Udo Kramer, the production designer, does an incredible amount of research, into the look of each episode, so we sort of really, lean into that, going forward and sort of making sure that we're carrying that, design through to the final post-production.
Mhm. So what would you say is, how much is done like on set practical VFX versus how much is done for, digital and post production?
Yeah, so we always try to shoot a practical element. Take, for instance, the spacewalks and Beyond the Sea. We knew, sort of from a budget perspective, we were always going to use Aaron Paul on wires or a stunt double. So we weren't going to use digital humans. And thanks to John's storyboarding and through the process of TechViz, we were able to map out exactly what we needed to shoot in order to get his shots. And then it's sort of taking that and blending that seamlessly with our sort of extensions that the vendors take. Yeah.
So what was some of the like how did you tackle that? Because when I watched the sequence, or there's a couple sequences where he's outside sort of going to
Yeah,
fix
the two
things.
spacewalks. Yeah.
Because what I've always heard, maybe it's changed, but I always heard that making it look real, like making that weightlessness look and feel real is always difficult, even with wires. Like, how did you guys
Yeah. No,
pull it
you're
off?
you're you're correct. And we had a lot of discussions about which way to shoot it. Would we sort of flip the sets vertical? And in the end we went horizontal, and that was sort of down to space. And making it as comfortable as we could for the actor as well, being on the wire rigs, because it's quite strenuous actually being up there
Mhm.
in the full astronaut suit. Yeah, it's a tricky one. We did use a higher frame rate when there wasn't dialogue to help give that sort of floaty feeling.
Mhm.
And then Stuart, the cinematographer, did a lot of sort of this kind of spin on the
Mhm.
camera move that just helped with the weightlessness, and just that sort of constant rotation gave you that topsy-turvy feeling where you feel like, are we under the ship? Are we above it? And I think that really helps sell it. I mean, there's lots of things you can do as well, like using different pick points with the wires if you're able to, so that, you know, the audience can't sort of figure out how did they do that, you know.
So
We also, I should say, we also used a posture chair. So we had Aaron in a posture chair for any of his close-ups, so that he could really sort of lean into his performances and not be, you know, restricted with the wires. So we could just have that on black screen, and he sort of was able to wobble and have that floatless feeling.
I've never heard of a posture chair. Is that like something for people who have bad posture, or is it something for the
Yeah,
actors
so it's a
specifically designed?
yeah, it's basically it's a backless chair, so you can sort of lean forward a bit,
Okay.
and yeah,
Yeah,
so
I've never
it was
heard.
it was on the ground, on the stage floor, basically.
So when you got involved, you know, you've got a lot of vendors. How do you coordinate between all the different vendors to make sure you got that seamless sort of look and feel?
Yeah, so for 3 of the episodes, we knew they had quite heavy VFX scenes, and what we did was we actually sort of chose and attached a primary vendor for those big scenes. And then for everything else, there were supporting vendors. So, you know, they were the bigger chunk stuff was taken care of one sole vendor each per episode.
Was the one of the other ones Demon 79?
Um,
I'm
Demon
assuming the fire.
79 and Maisie Day, obviously, the werewolf transformation, that
Yeah.
was pretty huge.
Probably one of the smartest things I've ever done for my career. It gave me all the tools that I needed to be able to jump into a new career.
Getting myself into a mindset, thinking like an editor, being around people that I can talk to on that level was really invaluable to me.
A lot of the things that I learned from that class, I still think about.
I loved the classroom. I loved the computer stations. We built a sense of community.
And it also instills a lot of confidence in you to take that and go out into the world.
After I took the class, I felt very prepared to take the next step.
I owe Manhattan Workshop the career that I have right now.
Things have been going great, and I really have the Manhattan Workshop to thank for that.
Well, I was going to ask you about Demon 79 in terms of the fire and making
Yeah,
that.
it
Like,
was a lot of fun.
well, what was done? Was any done on set?
Yes. So we had a lot of discussion about it, and I was really keen, as was, you know, the rest of the production team, to use real fire as if we could. So we did something really cool. We shot out all the interior scenes and took the actual set to an exterior location at night where we could safely burn it down, basically, in a controlled way. And that was great because we could sort of art direct where the fire was behind Ange, the actress. And then the VFX is just adding, which is, you know, so nice when you've got such a great base to work with. And it sort of means we don't need green screens. You know, we didn't have to have lots of roto for a lot of it. So we're just sort of enhancing and adding on top and more details to make it a real inferno. But there was real fire there for sure.
Yeah, well, and that's what I was wondering, is because I've seen things where they're like, no, we did it all digital for safety.
No, it was really good in camera, and we just added, you know, and so yeah, her performance was real, the fair was real.
In something like this, like you sort of touched on it, where it's like trying to figure out, you know, what can we do on set versus what can we do in post. You know, and sometimes the calculation comes down to cost, sometimes it comes down to how you do it. But like when you're approaching an effect, whether it be, you know, the werewolf, well, obviously the werewolf transition we can't do in real life, but
Yeah.
you know, like the burning of the you know, something like fire, like how do you approach trying to figure out how to tackle that?
I mean, I'm sort of from the school of thought that it's always great to have the base, and even if you have to discard it and do it in VFX, you've got an amazing reference. So I would always rather do something practical for the VFX if that's possible. And then just about Maisie Day, we had like an incredible performance from Clara, the actress, to help us, as well as 4 stages of prosthetics throughout that whole scene. So, you know, that again helps us immensely with the VFX work.
So what were for Maisie Day, like what were the like what was the footage coming in? Like was it, you know, because you said you had 4 stages of prosthetics. So I'm assuming you were stopping in between, changing everything out.
Exactly. And then we had a near set scanning booth, 360 scanning booth. So we were capturing, her and her various stages of prosthetics as well to pass on to the VFX vendor.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
So,
And we also had a full wolf suit as well. So for when Maisie Wolf is in shot, there's a performer in a full wolf suit. I forget the company who did it, but yeah, I mean, that's amazing reference for VFX of how the lighting hits the fur, how it sits in frame, all of those things, which just helps us so much.
So what would you say, because that's the thing about this series is you're getting to work on some kind of really cool stuff, sort of like floating
Yeah.
space stuff, werewolves. So like what would you say was your favorite thing to tackle or work
I
on?
think it was all pretty amazing. I think it's the variety. I mean, that's sort of the dream, really. You're doing almost like 5 feature films at the same time. There's no sort of rinse and repeat VFX. Um, yeah, I don't know. I feel a sort of special feeling towards Demon 79 just because it was the first episode we shot and delivered. So that sort of has a little special spot in my heart.
Well, and it also I love that it has that sort of B movie 70s
Yeah.
look and feel to it.
Yeah, and I think, something that was quite unique to this season as well was that, it wasn't just near future or, present day. It was some very specific time periods. So, Demon 79 is like an alternate 1970s, Beyond the Seas, late 1960s. Maisie Day was pre-smartphone noughties. And there was a lot of invisible VFX that you just don't know happened because we were cleaning up things that were like non-period, for example, and then just sort of all the media devices and making sure they were sort of accurate to the era. That was quite important. And for a couple of the episodes, the DOPs actually chose to shot with vintage cameras for some of the content, which really, really helped us as well.
Oh, yeah. And I guess some of the older lenses would also play into that and
Yeah,
create
for
sort
sure.
of distortion or sort of edging on the image. Now, Charlie Brooker has sort of become the like he's created this world, the Black Mirror. How do you, when you're joining a show like this and he's got these crazy ideas, how do you get into his head to understand exactly what he wants so you can deliver that?
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of discussion and conversations across all departments, really. And then in post, he's very involved in the review process. So he make we're very tapped into what he wants and what he likes.
Is there a particular scene that you would say was the toughest to execute?
Um, I think possibly Beyond the Sea, the spacewalks, because we were shooting on a very small, relatively small stage, should I say, with the interior set right beside us. And so we had to be quite scrappy and move very quickly. We shot everything in just over a day, and that's quite a lot for those 2 scenes.
Yeah. Did
Yeah.
you, because I think about the spacewalk, and as soon as I saw it, I immediately started thinking about 2001: A Space Odyssey, because Cinefex had done a whole thing on trying to figure out the wires, and that's why I was asking the question originally.
Oh,
They made
okay.
it. So when you do that, because there are certain films that have gone through history and have tried different things
Yeah.
for that, do you guys do the research into that, or is it?
Yeah, so I talked to other VFX supervisor friends and got advice from people who I knew had already done space films before, and that really helped, giving us ideas about how to do it, and the help with the floatiness because that's always the giveaway, isn't it?
Yeah. I
Yeah.
guess my last question for you is, what would you say is your favorite guilty pleasure film or TV show to watch?
I think I'm going to go old school and say Buffy the Vampire Slayer used to be one of my favorites.
The original movie?
No, TV series.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Because I grew up on the movie, so I love the movie.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to love that show.
What is it about it that you loved so
It's
much?
just the creatures, the monsters. Yeah.
So I guess would you, if you could do like a monster movie or?
I think I would love to do a vampire movie.
Oh
That
yeah.
would be awesome. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for letting me interview you today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. That's it for our show this week, everyone. Make sure to check us out at filmmakeru.com or, of course, on Instagram at filmmaker_you. I'm Gordon Burkell. Thanks for watching.